Hi, my name is Paul Infante, and today I'm going to talk about Cuba.
But before, I will say that, as we saw in 1/3/2026, the head of Venezuela, the illegitimate president slash dictator slash head of El Cartel de los Soles, was captured and removed from power, marking the Liberation Day of Venezuela on 1/3/2026, which was heading, by the way, for socialism. The threat of communism and socialism in the Western Hemisphere is Cuba, which is one of the only 5 communist countries that exist in the world today, and also happen to be 90 miles away from the US. Cuba is always been a threat in counterintelligence, spying, etc. Cuba is also connected and trying to implement and insert communism, have always been like that in Western Hemisphere, in Nicaragua, Bolivia, Venezuela, and others. Cuba has tried similar approaches in other parts of the world, like Africa, Angola, and other places. By removing the illegal head of Venezuela and implementing US conditions, with a temporary leader, Desi Rodriguez, in place, oil to Cuba stopped immediately. And thus, the main source of oil and one of the main sources of revenue to Cuba is finished. Because the very weak economy in Cuba and horrible management of communism, that country should crumble in very little time. Díaz-Canel, the current dictator, is currently talking nonsense and being defiant, just like Maduro in Venezuela was doing. Now, Cubans in the island and in the diaspora have suffered for 6-7 years this disaster of communism in a repulsive angle. The airplane carrier H.W. Bush was recently moved from Venezuela, now standing by the waters near Varadero in Matanzas, Cuba. I believe that between comments from President Trump, input from Secretary Rubio about Cuba, and the maneuvers of the U.S. military to the proximity of Cuba, and also the restrictions of Cuba in regards to oil from Venezuela, Cuba will be liberated very soon. I believe that before the end of 2026, this will happen. Until next time, this is Paul Infante. Bye.